I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Just 1 week after Donald Trump was sanctioned about $1 million for filing frivolous lawsuits, where the federal judge in the Southern District of Florida who issued the sanctions order cited the inflammatory statements that Donald Trump's lawyers would make on right-wing echo chamber media, and Donald Trump then immediately dismissed a frivolous lawsuit that he filed against New York Attorney General Letitia James, also in the Southern District of Florida, and another lawsuit that he filed in federal court in Syracuse, New York, which was pending in the Second Circuit. Both of those cases were dismissed. Well, after all of that, Donald Trump's lawyers are continuing to go on right-wing echo chamber media to make inflammatory statements about judges and to mock judges. The most recent example is Christina Bobb. She went on one of these right-wing shows. I think this one she went on was with Steve Bannon. I'll show you the clip in just a moment, where she called judges, and I'm quoting her, chronically impotent. She says there's a chronically impotent judicial system, and she referred generally to all judges, but also Republican judges who she called are cowards. She said that these judges are scared. She says that these judges are just bending to the whims of crazy leftists, because that's all these MAGA Republicans have, is their name calling and no substance. But this is Donald Trump's lawyer, Christina Bobb, just a little bit over a week after Donald Trump was sanctioned $1 million for his lawyers filing frivolous lawsuits. This is her mocking the judiciary. Doesn't seem like the wisest move, but no one's ever accused Christina Bobb for being wise. Play the clip.
We have a chronically impotent judicial system. I mean, Republican judges, not just Republican judges, the Republican Party for the last 40 years has become the party of cowards. And the judges that cowards appoint are also cowards and don't want to take up real issues that crazy leftists don't like. And the signature verification issue is a very real problem that they don't want to have to deal with, in my opinion. I mean, that's what we're seeing. Judges are scared.
So it should also be noted that at the same time Christina Bobb, Donald Trump's lawyer, is making that statement, one of Donald Trump's other lawyers, John Eastman, just received a notice of a complaint filed by the California State Bar seeking to disbar or revoke John Eastman's license for his conduct in connection with the 2020 election, filing frivolous lawsuits. Oh yeah, and being a co-conspirator with Donald Trump to try to overthrow our democracy and stop the peaceful transfer of power following Donald Trump's utter defeat and humiliation in the 2020 election. Just to remind you, though, of Christina Bobb, remember this interview between Laura Ingraham of Fox and Christina Bobb, where Laura Ingraham asked Christina Bobb if she's aware that Donald Trump was having and hiding nuclear secrets at Mar-a-Lago, and Christina Bobb responded, I don't really necessarily know one way or another if there was nuclear material being handled. Mind you, Christina Bobb, not only Trump's lawyer, but also Trump's custodian of records, and sometimes she says she's the custodian of records, sometimes she says she's the lawyer, but she makes court appearances for him in court. Anyway, play this clip of Laura Ingraham interviewing Christina Bobb from August of 2022. Play the clip.
Okay, so Christina, just so I'm clear about this, I want to be really clear. Is it your understanding that there were not documents related to our nuclear capabilities or nuclear issues that had national security implications in the president's possession when the agents showed up at Mar-a-Lago?
That's correct. I don't believe they were. And if they thought
well,
they were...
do you know for a fact? Do you know for a fact they were? Have you spoken to the president about it?
I have not specifically spoken to the president about what nuclear materials may or may not have been in there. I do not believe there were any in there. The legal team had done a very thorough search and had turned over. We've been very cooperative with the Biden administration and the DOJ and turned over everything that we found that we had. So it's my understanding on very good belief based on a thorough investigation that there was nothing there.
Oh, yeah, and I forgot. This one was a doozy. This was another interview between Laura Ingraham and Christina Bobb after a appearance before the magistrate judge who issued the search warrant, one of the things that Fox and the MAGA extremist wanted Christina Bobb, who was in court, mind you, representing Donald Trump, to do is demand that the search warrant affidavit be completely unredacted, and to object to redactions. And Christina Bobb did not object to redactions. Instead, she sat there and had the media, watched as the media argued to object to the redactions. And Laura Ingraham was saying, well, if you're claiming that you were in court to try to make sure that the search warrant removed all redactions, like, why didn't you make an objection? Like, you don't know what you're doing. Here, watch this exchange between Ingraham and Christina Bobb. Play the clip.
Very interesting and somewhat encouraging that you had parties from both sides of the aisle, of course, liberal media outlets coupled with a conservative watchdog group, really together on the same side. And so we were curious to see how that played out, of course, reserving our rights to try something else in the future if we want to, but we really just chose to see how it would play out.
Well, I understand that you chose to do that, but I'm wondering, are you not concerned that because you didn't join any of these motions for, again, the full release of this affidavit, that you're then waiving possible objections to the way redactions are being done by the Justice Department later on? Because you didn't speak in court today, nor did you join any of these motions. They're going to redact all this stuff, and I'm not sure what grounds you're going to have at this point, having waived your right to file those motions.
Well, we would maintain that we haven't waived our right, and that still is maintained. We need to wait and see. I can't be certain at this point because we haven't seen the affidavit, and we certainly haven't seen the redactions and how it's going to play out. But we'll be making that decision as it comes out. We got to see it. We haven't seen it. It has been under seal, so I don't know. We can't say.
And so there you have it. I mean, that's one of Trump's lawyers. Alina Habba was the one who got sanctioned approximately $1 million last week. This is Laura Ingraham. This is who Laura Ingraham is interviewing, is Christina Bobb, one of Donald Trump's other lawyers. And I think if you're special counsel Jack Smith, or you're the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, or you are the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis, and I think if you're looking at the caliber of Trump's lawyers, you certainly know that this is not the Teflon Don. It may be the tissue Don, because this is some of the most easily permeated defenses that ever exist. I mean, one of the things that the jury said in the criminal prosecution of the Trump Organization, where the Trump Organization was very quickly convicted on 17 felony charges by the Manhattan District Attorney a few weeks back, they just said how horrible Trump's lawyers were. Granted, it wasn't Alina Habba and it wasn't Christina Bobb in that case, but they said that Trump's lawyers were the worst, that Trump's lawyers pissed everybody off and just acted horribly. Their cross-exams were the worst, because Trump surrounds himself with idiots and morons and people who think it's wise. After $1 million in sanctions, after Trump basically was forced to dismiss all these other federal lawsuits that were frivolous because he knew he was going to be sanctioned, after one of Trump's other lawyers was just filed on by the California State Bar to revoke his license, you've got these kamikaze lawyers for Donald Trump who just are basically saying, take my legal license away, as they go and they threaten and attack and mock judges and call them chronically impotent and call them cowards and go on and say things like that. Trust me, the judges are watching that very carefully, and it's utterly despicable and disgusting conduct. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hey, do me this favor. Hit subscribe. It's free to subscribe. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your support. So please, if you can, hit the subscribe button. And in addition to subscribing, please check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. patreon.com/MeidasTouch. You'll love the content we have on our Patreon, but most importantly, it helps grow this independent media platform. So check it out, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
Our blue wall stopped the red wave and election deniers got denied election. That's why we're celebrating with the new Democracy Prevails team. We've got lots of work to do, but we should all be proud that when democracy was tested, democracy prevailed. You've earned this. Don't wait. Get yours right now at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.